welcome to the Storied Way Perspective. Today, I have a guest with me, a fellow storyteller. She brings in her ethnicity, her culture into her storytelling. She uses dance, she uses music, but something that she's very passionate about is the cause of Indian languages. I have with me Lopamudra Mohanty from Mumbai. She is sending out big, loud cheers to Bhasha in India at the moment. She has another storytelling venture called Big Buddy World, I believe.
Right.
That's her storytelling venture. But today I'm here to talk about her work with languages, particularly Indian languages, and the role storytelling plays in keeping languages alive in the modern world, and all the fantastic work that she's doing with more language based storytellers across the country. Where are we headed, and what are we likely to see happen in the near future? Welcome to the Storied Way Perspective, Lopa. I am so happy that I'm having this conversation with you. And I'm a little surprised that we're having a formal conversation for the first time.
It's so odd. Oh, hi, welcome, and all those things. Anyway, thank you, Ritupan.
No,
And
formal invite. Formal invite. It's good. It's good to do that because I know it's not easy to take out time from anybody's schedule to do all of this. And it's a nice show, so I like to make my guests feel very wanted and belong because the show is about you and your work and your stories. So again, welcome to the Storied Way Perspective.
thank you, Ritupan, for the invite. And of course, whenever anyone invites me to talk about languages, I'm always ready because I think any kind of platform where we are talking about Indian languages is always better because it can reach out to more and more people. So that's
Absolutely
the entire intention behind having a discussion as such at any kind of a platform. So thank you for that, and thank you for
lovely.
recognizing the importance of Indian languages as
No, no. We need to talk a lot about the storytelling and how it's shaping the world today. That's that's
correct.
that's what the podcast is all about. And the fact that you are a storyteller and working with languages is also very important because a lot of people who come to me to learn storytelling, they come with the assumption that storytelling is all about learning to tell stories in English. And I've always tried to tell each storyteller that if you are good in your mother tongue, find out, go back to your roots. If you have a mother tongue that you are fluent in, that you can speak well, that you can read and you can write, please use your mother tongue to also look at yourself as a vernacular storyteller, because you will find an audience who will not listen to, who will prefer listening to stories in their mother tongue. So but that's my story. But let's go straight into Cheers to Bhasha. Tell our listeners about your platform, and how did you transition from being a storyteller to talking about languages?
Yeah. So I think so when I went to the Scottish Storytelling Festival. So when I told my story over there, of course I had prepared that in English, and I proudly went and told it and narrated the story in English. And there I saw people from different countries and wearing their costumes and telling stories in their native language, and there were interpreters for them. So right, and what lovely stories, and the way it was told, so powerful. That is when the thought came across, what am I doing, right? When we have I'm from a place where it's so diverse, whether it's languages, whether it is our food, look at our costume, dress, everything. India is so diverse. I had this opportunity where I could have, done something in my language. And I could have had an interpreter as well. So why didn't I do that? No doubt I had little taken an Indian story and done it, but वो नहीं होता है. I mean, it's very important when you tell the story in your language, the emotion is very different than telling the same story in the translated language. So that's when I came back, and I thought that in India at that point of time, I think 2018 or something like that. So all the storytelling platforms were there. Everywhere it was in English. कहीं कहीं हिंदी में होता था, but otherwise everywhere it was in English. That's when the idea came up. Why don't I go ahead and create a space where people can come and tell stories in their mother language? And I thought of it because at that time it was pre-COVID time. So I was thought of having a story circle that is, and I'll tell people in Mumbai, the storyteller community which we have. I ask them to come over and we will share stories in our mother language. And of course, the gist of the story initially it can be told in English so that the listener does have an idea regarding that. So that's how it started. So it was just a space where people can come and tell stories in their mother language. So I named it as Indian language storytelling mandala because a circle and a mandala is powerful and it will grow. Eventually, it will grow more and more. So that is how it started. It wasn't Cheers to Bhasha at that point of time because, of course, I had my company that's BBW Education Private Limited. So that's Big Buddy World. So with that name, I said, okay, fine, let's come meet and tell stories. And it was wonderful that around 4 5 storytellers joined from our storytelling community in Mumbai. And that's how the first storytelling started in Indian languages at my place. And it
Which
was
year was this? Which year was this?
2019.
Okay,
Yeah,
right before the pandemic.
right before the pandemic. I think December and then the pandemic. One session we had and then pandemic started. So that is when how we went virtual then. So from a space where I watched tellers telling stories in their mother language and understood how powerful it is, and there is an audience who appreciates that. That is how it came to storytelling mandala, which I thought that can create a space for tellers who can tell stories in the mother language. That is what it started. But later on, it became like, okay, fine, it will create a more inclusive environment because there might be tellers who don't know to speak in English,
Mm-hmm.
but they might be very proficient in the
Fluent.
mother language. So it will become a platform for them to go ahead and share stories and get that lovely, that respect, that wow, there is the person who can tell such wonderful stories in their mother language. So then a lot of things started working. Once you start working in that space, you read up, you start to understand the purpose behind that. But initially it was just that, let me create a space where people can come and tell stories in their mother language. Yeah, this is how
Hmm.
it started.
Hmm. And at what point of time did you realize that I want to do more than just create a platform? I just want to sort
Yeah,
of
I'll tell you.
pursue the
That
cause of languages.
Yeah. So that was a turning point for me. So of course, when pandemic started, and of course initially 1 month I didn't know what to do, how to go ahead, because every time with parents and everyone, I used to say more of physical, less of digital, more of physical. And
And then
suddenly,
everybody, we all changed our rules and we all went virtual.
yeah,
No
but
screen to only screen. Oh my God, we
exactly,
did so much
exactly.
of work.
It's been so difficult for me to first, accept and then speak to parents or children or whosoever the stakeholders, different stakeholders. So, but with the Indian language storytelling, what I had is okay, fine. So now I can't do it in a physical setup. So let me go online and let me just say that in a month, around 5 different tellers can tell stories in their mother language, 5 different stories in their mother language. This is what they will share, and I'll put it up on Facebook and it will go. So this was what a plan, and that I started. While doing that, Rituparna, I received like over mails or over WhatsApp, I want to share, I want to share. It wasn't that I had to connect, it was more of people coming in and saying that we want to share stories in our mother language. And that is when I realized that, my goodness, I had never imagined that people would be so interested to share stories in the mother language. Because the first time, the physical space which I had, I reached out to many tellers, but only 2 3 people said yes. Okay, that is how it started. But online, it created like it was magic. And
Yeah.
during that time, there was this teller who speaks Vishnupriya Manipuri language, which is an endangered language. So she connected and she told that, okay, I'll be sharing in Vishnupriya. That's the first time I heard about that language. I had never heard about that language. I did not have any idea about safe languages, endangered languages, critically endangered language, vulnerable language. You know, I did not have those ideas. So, chalo, story share karna hai. That is what the purpose was. But when I listened to her story and when we spoke and the reason behind why she wanted to share a story in a language, because it is an endangered status, she told Lopa, if I don't do it, the stories which I know tomorrow, no one is going to listen to that. It will die. Okay. And if it dies, then I don't know whether my children and their children will be able to know about these lovely stories. So I don't know. This is a platform I want to share stories. And she shared the story. You know, that particular sentence which she said, Rutuparna, when she said that if I don't tell the story, my next generation will not know the story. I knew storytelling is powerful, but इतना पावरफुल है ये तो नहीं मालूम था कि एक particular generation might get affected if a story is not told. So yeah, that is where the perspectives changed, and I started reading up about languages quite a lot, about Indian languages, about why it is endangered, where, how, all those things it started. And that is how we thought that, okay, fine, somewhere, what can I do now? Suppose with stories, what can we do to save languages? Because at that point of time, I read somewhere that if languages are documented, they can be revived. So if languages are not documented, they can become extinct. If languages are documented, they die, but it can be revived. So can we document the language through stories? That is what my purpose started, that how we can go ahead and document stories so that the languages stay alive. So I would say that discussion which I had, and then I read up about Vishnupriya Manipuri language, what happened, how. फिर होता है Ritwana, you know, when you start working, then
No.
then
Then
it's
sort of it
you
picks up
go deeper
momentum, and
into it.
and you find sort of a bigger, larger purpose behind
Bigger, larger
doing
picture, yeah.
larger purpose behind, from being just a nice little gathering of people who speak different languages
Correct,
to
correct,
becoming something which leads towards something which has a potential
correct.
of changing something. I like how fluid it was. It wasn't with a very firm idea that you started working with languages, and it sort of emerged out of your work with different
Yeah,
people.
and it is still evolving.
I'm sure
Rituparna,
it is.
talking with different people, talking with different speakers whose languages are in endangered state, and talking with different industry people. You know, different perspectives, and then what can be done, how we can work towards it. So of course, it's evolving. It's an everyday evolving process. It's not that it's completely an idea that. So it
I
started with a different
really
idea, and it's going towards a different thing. But yes,
I'm
something very
sure.
purposeful. Yeah,
I like what you said about, a lot of people came forward and said, I want to share a story. In our country, which is so diverse, India being one of the largest, most diverse countries in the world,
correct,
and there are
correct.
so many languages and identities along with it wrapped
Ex-
up. A lot of your identity and how it attaches itself to the language that you grew up speaking or the language that you were surrounded by, that also sort of shapes your behavior, your acceptance, or how you are rejected in society, right? In India, we've seen that when you come from a certain region in the country with proficiency in one language and not the proficiency, let's say, in English, or the inability to understand, let's say, in your state it could be Marathi, in our state it could be Hindi, and when you come to a Delhi, your Hindi could be a Bihari Hindi, it could be a Rajasthani Hindi, it could be a
correct.
UP Wali Hindi, Lucknowi Hindi. There's so many, So given the fact that we are all sort of somewhere judged, along with it, we sort of wrap up our identity as far as our language and our
Yeah, yeah. I was
speech is
sharing.
concerned, isn't it? Yeah.
Sharing an incident over here. So we also had something called as Young Indian Language Crusader, that is for children. Okay, where it was a project on. They had to work on a project on Indian languages on their mother tongue. Okay? So it was a project for them. Now, so I used to approach parents, and parents of course were interested to for storytelling, but they preferred more that it was more in English. So because I understand where they come from and why they want that, so I will not judge parents as such, because I have been also a parent and I know where that comes from. But yeah, but slowly, of course, with discussions and everything, so it did work out, and we had this Young Indian Language Crusader. So there was one such parent whom I had met, and their mother language was Bhojpuri. So Bhojpuri. So the parents said that no, I don't want my child to speak that language, right? Because with Bhojpuri, because of the movies, the kind of movies and the language, how it is used, so there is a different kind of judgment towards the language. So when you told about judging the language, so there is a different kind of judgment towards the language. Hindi chalega, but not Bhojpuri. The parent said. So that is where I really wanted to bring in that change. That tomorrow, when the child is sharing a story on a platform in Bhojpuri language, and there are lovely stories in Bhojpuri language, right? When the child is sharing a story on the platform, and there are people who are appreciating the teller because of the kind of story in her mother language she was able to tell, if continuously that process happens, the narratives will change,
Hmm,
right?
absolutely. Because there's
So,
respect, isn't it? If I can
yeah,
respect another language, I will learn to
exactly.
respect the people who speak that language. I'll learn to respect that culture. I'll be curious about that culture to know
Exactly.
beyond what the language I've perceived it to be. It may not be the entire narrative about a certain kind of people who speak a certain language,
Exactly.
but
And the
if I'm
child
more
shared,
curious, I'll know.
yeah, and the parent agreed. The child shared stories. You won't believe, Rituparna. The parents shared their stories within their family members, their cousins, everyone listening to the child sharing the story. And suddenly there was this whole thing of everyone in the family wanted to share stories in the mother in Bhojpuri language. So that also happened for Vishnupriya Manipuri. When the child shared the story in her mother language, and then it was appreciated by people, and all those things happened. So that became kind of a trigger for point for other parents getting interested towards the children sharing stories on a platform in their mother language. So always I think that parents want to celebrate the children and they want to see the children on a platform and performing. All those things happen, but when it is with through their culture, their heritage, their stories, once they're exposed to that thing, then of course they know the importance of it. If they're not exposed, then how will they know what kind of joy they can experience by having the children stand over there and talk in their language fluently?
Absolutely. And it's another part of your identity that you're carrying to the world because we
Exactly,
are now
exactly.
living in a porous world where people travel more, they are meeting people from different countries and different cultures. Wherever you are in the world, the moment you hear a familiar language that you understand or you know where it is coming from, you're naturally leaning towards that person in a foreign land. And I think as we continue to grow in the world, we need to find people to lean on to and to sort of align with. And if a language is that one common bridge, even though, for example, I will not know Vishnupuri Manipuri very well, I don't know, but if I know what it sounds like and I hear somebody in the world, in another part of the world, speak that language and I know this is a language from my country, I will naturally lean towards that person,
Of course.
isn't it? So I have a story to tell you now. When I started telling stories professionally about a decade back, I started off telling stories in English because that's the language that I think in and it comes most efficiently, most fluidly for me. Staying where I am, I also started telling stories in Hindi.
Indeed.
But the third thing, which is my mother tongue, which is Bangla, I don't read and I don't write in that. But I've grown up to listening to many stories in Bangla. And at some point of time, like you said, you went for a festival and it sort of hit you that what am I doing with my language? It sort of hit me somewhere that Bengali children's literature is so diverse. Bengali literature is so diverse. And my mother has always, lamented that. So my thing is that you'll not never be able to read these books. You'll never be able to read these poems and all of that. And it did not really affect me as much as a reader or a lover of literature, as it affected me when I started looking at storytelling as a way to use language and have a language proficiency. So it hit
Correct.
me then that, oh my God, there's a third language that I could tell stories in, but since I don't read and write in it, I maybe have lost my chance. But then I started working towards thinking in Bangla to be as spontaneous as I am in English and Hindi, to let the story flow. So I worked on my language skills in Bangla. I would read, I would listen to Bangla stories so that I get better words, better vocabulary, learn to
Correct.
comprehend, learn to stitch those words together by myself. And I went back and I did storytelling sessions in Bangla, and thankfully people came. So
Love.
those were the first early instances, I would say, that I'm a Bengali storyteller, to come and listen to stories in Delhi. We are a lot of Probashi Bangalis here who will say that, let me go and listen to, we speak the language in our home, and let's go listen to a storyteller. So I would have people come and listen, and my first experience were very nice. And then I got so excited. I said, let me go and invite people to listen to stories in Bangla, even though they don't understand that language. Now it's going to be a bigger challenge
Correct.
for me to get them to understand that language, appreciate that language, or even listen with intent, even though they don't understand.
Hmm.
So then I started working on a couple of stories where I would go and I will tell people that today I have a story in Bangla, or they will say that, oh, it's a story from Bengal. I said, no, it's a story from Bengal, but it's a story which I will tell in Bangla. I mean, we
Mhm.
don't, how many of you understand Bangla? And everybody will say, no, we don't. And then I said, but you'll be surprised at the end of it that you will realize that you can understand Bangla, that you do, and that you will enjoy it. And then I did. So, I've done this experiment several times, and people have sort of said, oh, I don't understand language, but then they do. Right. So, my question to you after a long story is just this, that, do languages, not just about keeping my mother tongue alive, and that's my personal endeavor, but when you listen to some other language, how does it bring communities together? Let's say a story told in Tamil, even though I don't understand Tamil, but am I willing to sit before a Tamil speaking storyteller and experience a story in a language which I don't? What could that listening experience be for an audience, a child or an adult?
See, if I talk about it frankly, I mean, I would say that I will think twice before going ahead and listening to storyteller telling in Tamil, because, of course, it is a language which I might not understand. Let it be Tamil or any other language. But when it is a movie I'm watching, okay, I would prefer watching that movie in the language it is.
Hmm.
And why is that? That is the reason I always ask that question, and that is the reason how my storytelling should be if I am doing a story in a language where my audience does understand. So I have to change the way I tell the story. I cannot do the way where I'm telling an English story, right?
Absolutely.
So yes, as I mentioned that when if I'm told to watch a storytelling perform of a teller who's telling it in a different language, then of course I would look towards the background of the teller. That becomes important for me, whether that person will be doing justice to the storytelling. Then I will spend money for that. Whereas for a movie, yes, again, as I said, that I can go ahead and I will watch it in that particular scene. So yes, this is kind of a thing for storytellers as for us, that might be the first performance your friends will come and watch because they'll support you because you're telling a story in that language. But if I want people to pay and watch me, then my job has to be damn good.
Oh, yes, of course. I've understood that. That, yes, the
So that
idea
is
is
where,
to go.
so
Yeah.
not only the language, if it is a different language, then of course the how the person is going to treat the storytelling, that becomes important for me. That is what I wanted to say.
So what happens when people travel, like, within the country, if there is somebody from north who travels to the east, and from the east to the south, when people go to different states and different cities to live and work in, and without naming any
Yeah.
organization, but I will give you a real story. So this is in a corporate I was consulting very recently, and it is based in Karnataka, and very large population who speak a native language, and they don't speak any other language, and managers or people from outside the state going and living there find it difficult to survive, because of course people who've always lived in that state will be speaking in their language all the time, and the one who's the outsider is not really deliberately made to feel like an outsider, but becomes an outsider because they are unable to intermingle. So given this scenario, do you think, traveling to a new state, it's not just about learning the language, but maybe experiencing a language in a more fun way, fluid way, maybe through stories, maybe through films? Does that help people acclimatize and understand the culture and the
Of
language?
course. So we have this platform where we teach languages also. So corporates and people who are interested to learn a language. Very important part of the training is stories, because stories help you to remember. That's because with stories you get emotionally connected, and wherever anything with emotions get connected, it's easier to retain that information. So that's where and you can get in culture into it, you can get in the the smaller, the nuances which we have, like for example the expressions when a certain word is told. See, it's not only the word itself. Google can translate a particular word for you, right, when you're putting it on translator, but how you say that word, you know, your body movement, your eyes, your expressions, that it's also has a meaning. So it's like,
Yes.
and there's a difference. ah, Arey yaar,
Hmm.
that अरे यार ये नहीं होगा, ये अरे यार लिखा होगा and the person will say अरे यार, but अरे यार, the eye movement, all these things become very important when you want to connect by the language you're speaking. I can speak that language, हाँ मैंने बोल दिया, I'm communicating something, okay मैंने बोल दिया, but if I want to connect with someone, then it is entirely a different ball game, right? And in a corporate environment, when with your team, it's very important to go ahead, and so there are a lot of things which happen when you're not accepted in it. There's attrition, you don't know, there's bullying which
Yeah.
happens. So all these things, even when you don't have that linguistic diversity, that inclusive linguistic that when you don't have that, it also leads to different things.
Can you describe? Yeah, I agree with you, and which is quite a challenge in a lot of organizations, and particularly looking for talented people to come in and work in different geographies.
Because
Absolutely.
someone might be very good at his work, it's just that he can give a better presentation in his mother language than in English.
Absolutely.
He can
Right.
communicate his ideas better in his mother language or his native language than in English. And it's your job to understand what he's saying, because he's such a talented fellow. Yeah, I mean, how can you
Right.
let go of this person just because he doesn't know English?
And what kind of work do you do with a corporate when enabling them to understand, or let's say pick up language
Yeah,
skills? Can you
so we
describe
are
that?
working on the linguistic diversity thing. So that's where we are working towards it
So
in that.
it's in the works, like we call it. It's a story in making, and I think in some time she'll be ready to try to say, I can, her nods are telling me that. Like, I will not tell you more enough about it. But that's fine. That's fine. The Storied Way Perspective is designed and developed by Your Storybag Podcasting Network. Podcasting is a fantastic medium that brings listeners to gather around a story. As the podcasting industry grows by leaps and bounds, we at Your Storybag want to help storytellers, businesses, brands, and organizations leverage the power of narrative. We are not an agency. Instead, you can imagine us as a collective or a cohort that incubates and nurtures emerging story based podcasts in the airwaves. If you'd like to collaborate, commission, or create your own story based podcast, reach out to us at podcast@yourstorybag.com. So tell me something again, because you are again a dancer, you go back to your roots very often, and I see that in your storytelling. When it comes to keeping or preserving or practicing or rejoicing a mother tongue, how does working with one's culture through food, through costume, through let's say the traditional arts for that matter, how does intermingling of all of this help in let's say celebrating a language?
Yeah, so Ritu, what I do is, for me, as I said, so even if I'm telling the story in English, so how can I go ahead and talk about my culture in that, my identity in that? So since I know a little bit of, so I dance Odissi, so I prefer to wear that Odissi costume. So it gives me an opportunity to talk about the costume, you know, where it is from. Naturally, if I'm standing over there, someone is asking, someone comes and talks, so it's a curiosity which has been generated. Okay, now I had that opportunity to talk about the costume. Okay, from Odisha, from this language is spoken, whatever it is. And when we're telling stories, of course I tell stories from Odia stories in English, mention the author, mention where it has come from, how I came to know about this story, the process. So there's this space where this happy space of being with your grandmother and listening to stories, and how important it is for parents to create those kind of spaces for the children, even if you're in a nuclear family. So every storytelling opportunity for me is to talk about heritage, culture, identity, language, costume, whether it is वो मैं छोड़ती
Mm.
नहीं पे कहाँ से घुमा फिरा के I have to talk about that, because every small opportunity is a window towards this particular purpose which I'm working towards. So yeah, so that's where I just mentioned. So I'm sure you understand that also, because you felt. And okay, I'll tell you another very beautiful thing. So there was someone when I was in the cohort in IIM Bangalore. So professor mentioned that there's something called as social investment. Okay, so that's the first time I heard that. So he said, okay, what you need to do is wherever you go, wherever you are, talk about your work. Okay, talk to people about your work, what you're doing, whether you're on the flight, whether you are in a party, कुछ भी नहीं, आप अपने काम के you don't know. So there are different things which you can do. So one of this thing is wherever you are, talk about your work. So I never miss out on this opportunity. Flight में जो side में कोई भी बैठा है तो I talk to them. अच्छा आपकी what is your mother language? What do you do? So what kind of stories have you heard? So yeah, now it has become a routine. You don't know it. This has helped me to connect with people. Okay, and there this beautiful thing happened. There was this lady from Kashmir of my age, somewhere around 54 as well. So when we were talking, she almost started crying. So what happened? Why it become so emotional? No, Loba, what? When we left Kashmir and we came to Delhi, that time I wanted my children to speak in Hindi because we wanted to be accepted by the community. So I wanted my children to speak in Hindi. And now I'm thinking, what a big mistake I have done. Now my children are grown up and I have not spoken to them. They don't know about my heritage, culture, language, so many things. And it's like at this age, that is at 4, you know what happens? Now we realize for us, our roots become very important. Slowly, as we age, our roots, we get drawn towards our roots. And I want my children to learn the language. You tell, it's never late. You tell them, it's their wish, but you tell them, and they have started learning.
Oh, beautiful. I knew when you started the story, I knew where it was going because I can imagine what it can lead to. And that's not just for the language, which is maybe Kashmiri language, but a lot of our languages also,
Yeah, yeah. So
You
this is a
know,
small instance, and this
yeah,
happened just because you are speaking with someone. So
yeah,
it doesn't matter. It's only in a workspace or anywhere you go. Talk about it because it needs to be talked about more and
yeah,
more and more. So
yes.
आप बात करो काम को कहीं से भी सीखे कुछ भी करे, but yes, why it is important becomes very important.
Are you also working with, let's say, Indians living abroad who could be, their immersion? I see a lot of children's literature in Indian languages, a lot of children's publishers who are, again, people based in different parts of the country, in the world, sorry. I see them publish children's books in their mother language, which are bilingual books. In terms of Indian languages, are you working with the Indian diaspora spread
See,
across the world?
so actually, when I started, also I was looking at who would be my customer segment. All those things we were working upon. Who will be my customer? So that has to be very clear. So that time I thought might be the Indian diaspora will be important for me. Children will learn languages and all those things online that can happen. So all those things thought about it. And there was this incident also where there was this two they were getting married. So one of them, so he was getting married to a Telugu guy. The girl was getting married to a Telugu guy, Gujarati girl. So she wanted to learn Telugu, and the guy wanted to learn Gujarati. So I thought,
How
oh,
nice.
this is again another market which I have, and the customer side people have, because a lot of these kind of marriages are happening, and intercultural marriages, and this is a market. So those things I tried and tested. So somewhere I was losing out on the purpose behind why I started Cheers to Bhasha. The purpose was towards saving endangered language, one of the purposes. And of course, another space where people can share stories and also that the respect towards the language grows. So there are different things which I was. So then I stopped doing that because I was losing out focus on what actually we wanted. And then there are people who are working towards it in their localities and all, and parents prefer a physical setup than an online setup, because for children, understanding a teacher speaking in the language, the English, because they need to be told in English, and they need to understand the kind of accent we have. All those things played a matter, and मुझे लगा इतना time मैं उसमें spend नहीं कर सकती. I can focus on
Right, you have
something.
to choose. Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm just curious because for me to understand that, languages could mean so many things to so many different people.
Correct,
Right.
correct.
And that question obviously came from the
Yeah, so
entrepreneur in me
that's how we
because,
are collaborating with
right.
people who are doing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
better it works in that manner than we providing that service.
Right. Let's go back to, endangered languages. What are the challenges of, let's say, preserving or documenting an endangered language? When it comes to stories, of course, are there stories being written? Are there texts that can be archived or referred to? Or is just the oral histories or the oral stories that the people remember? There are languages where the script may also be dying, or there may be not be a formal script. So tell us something about that.
Yeah. So again, I'll tell Ritu again, focus what I want, right? So documenting for me was more of an oral documentation,
Okay.
because once we have it in oral, it can be translated and it can be brought into a digital. I mean, into a script. It can be brought into. So वो सब हो सकता है. But so what we are concentrating right now is on oral documentation of stories. So that is what we are working on. Of course, it's difficult because we are initially starting with 4-5 endangered languages and working towards it, meeting the endangered speakers into them and convincing them and getting the recordings and all those things. So that's where.
So which other languages are you working with right now?
So one is Vishnupriya, there's Knar, Kodava. So these are the three languages, and there's another language we have just thought of, that is in Odisha. It's Koro.
Wow. So it's not just about the language, but also finding people who are speaking that language and fluent enough,
Yeah,
or maybe an authority enough to say that I
yeah,
have stories which I would like to be documented.
yeah, recording the stories.
Recording the stories, right, right. And people like me, can they listen to those stories somewhere?
And not
Or they
right.
are not
Yeah,
right. You're working.
yeah. So that's we are just.
Working, yeah. It's part of that gray area. She's not going to tell us right now. She's going to work on it. And
Not
she's
going
going
to
to
understand.
You also offer translation services, right? So can you
Yeah.
talk a little
So
about that?
translation sense, because I thought, see, language has lot of scope, Rituparna. It's just that for translation, we thought that okay, we can do translations since we have tellers, and out of them, some of them are very good in translating. It's not that every teller is a good translator also. So there are non-tellers who are awesome translators, right? So that's where we take up projects, just that so that they can earn.
Yeah.
At the
Yeah.
end of the day, if there is no money making, passion will take you towards for a certain distance. After that, everything goes here and there. If there is no money in the process, if they're not earning, so that is a very important thing for me. That अगर हम language पे काम कर रहे हैं, तो language के through what business, what money can be earned as well.
Yes.
If not, then it's only then the वो अलग हो जाता है, वो फिर नहीं आगे जाता है. You know it
Right.
very well.
Then you need to, of course, sustain it to create a project like this. Either you get funding from somewhere,
Yeah. So
which sort of
somewhere that
makes it, yeah,
translation thing, yeah, that's where that is why we take up
yeah,
certain work in the sense, so
yeah.
that people who know the language, they earn certain amount of money from that,
Right.
as well as the
Right.
different works which we have in that process. But yes, behind the work, that the other thing is more important for me. So that
Yeah.
is what is
So
happening.
we've also seen the NEP talk a lot about the mother tongue, the mother language being part of formal education.
Yeah.
And there is this renewed interest in listening to languages in one's mother tongue as well. But like you said, you understand that parents leaning towards English, or wanting to create, or wanting listening experiences which are about learning or getting proficiency in the English language. How are you working with parents and
Yeah,
educators
I'll tell
and
you another,
languages?
yeah, another very interesting incident. So I had been to a very international school for a workshop on Indian languages, endangered languages. And it was for ninth and 10th standard students. So while I was speaking to the children, so the body language itself was very different. They didn't want, it was very disinterested. Indian languages. You can know from is okay, fine. This was so the first question was, since it was international school and very renowned international school, of course. So you think that they know already about endangered languages. So that was my wrong assumption. So I said, what happens when languages die? That was my first question. So the children answered that it's okay as long as I can communicate with you and you can communicate with me. Doesn't matter if language is done. So that is when I realized that for an individual, like when I also started my storytelling journey in Indian language, in mother language, their idea of language is only communication,
Yes.
nothing else. So if they're not aware of it, how do you expect them to respect or value that thing? Why do they? For them, it is only if the purpose of language is communication. Then, of course, the language dies, it doesn't matter. So that is where I realize it's not their fault, or might be some parents where we are talking about. We can't tell parents you're wrong because your child doesn't know the mother language. It's the same thing. When the parent is not aware, when the child is not aware, when people are not aware, what happens when a language dies? Even I was not aware when I started. It was just stories for me. It only changed because I became aware about the importance of language. It plays in the identity or it, in your culture, preserving all those things, and why it is important to preserve. So then I don't know, ये तो workshop को change करना पड़ेगा. It has to be taken in a different set altogether.
You have to
So
start somewhere else. You have to
yes,
start somewhere else. Yeah. So how
naming
do
is
we?
very easy,
Of
and
course.
I will not take away the power of English as a language. So that's why we tell parents it's not that we are saying that your child should not speak in English, but not at the cost of the mother language. Let them learn any language, but at home, you are the only person who can take forward the language. You don't know that you are a silent killer of the language, of your own identity, of your own language, by not speaking it to your children. And
I mean, very recently I was talking to a friend who's got two sons, and she said that we did a mistake with our elder one. We only spoke to him in English. So he didn't learn Hindi, and her in-laws told her that, he doesn't speak in Hindi to us. So and as parents, they realized that this was a problem, because after a point, the grandparents would stop speaking to the child and they would stop communicating, because communicating is also, and like, because you said the thing about, oh yeah, as long as I can communicate, and they sort of corrected it with the younger child. So the younger child is being raised with steady Hindi at home. So the elder one speaks English and the younger one speaks Hindi, smattering Hindi. So it's quite sweet and cute to see that household, because they're trying to keep the child as close to the grandparents, who prefer perhaps Hindi over English. But that's another thing. You should have somebody to talk to in your mother language, you know.
again, there's a story.
I'm glad, because it's a storytelling podcast. You have to talk about stories. Don't feel so ashamed. I'm very happy.
Girl, so I met one of the mothers in the IMD cohort, and she mentioned that I want my daughter to learn Marathi because she stays in Gurgaon. I'm Punjabi, and my husband is Marathi, and my child doesn't know Marathi. And when she goes to Pune to stay with her grandparents, it becomes very difficult for her to communicate. And it was the child who wanted, and that changes the entire dynamics. I was so happy to hear that. So she said, no, Anushka wants to, she wants to learn the language because she wants to communicate properly with her grandparents. There are so many things she can't. And you won't believe she learned Marathi. So there were her cousins and all of, and we had customized it as per their requirement. When she didn't tell her grandparents that she has learned Marathi. She wanted to give them a surprise. She went, and while she was doing, she video recorded that. And Ritu, I'll tell you that time when that moment, I told Mera purpose is solved. The grandparents were in tears when they heard their grandchild speak in that language. It was such an emotional, you don't realize how important that communication is. There might be certain words they want to tell the grandchildren, or even the grandchild, vice versa, they want to tell, which they don't have that particular word to express, जो कि वो कर
It can
सकते हैं,
only
they
it
know
can
the
only
language.
happen it can only happen in the language that you feel in.
Yeah, yeah. And it's so precious and so important in human relationships. So important. We don't value it because, see, our language, if I say Odia, oh, it's safe language. You ask people whose languages are on the verge of dying what they're feeling. It's a fear they're going through.
It's like, imagine not having anyone to speak
Yeah,
to.
tomorrow, if I mean, I always say, I don't know, I want to make a documentary or a small film. That is my dream.
You will.
Can start with that one child who's left, one person who's left back in the world who doesn't know how to. I mean, he knows the language, but there's not a single person around him who knows that language. What he's clarifying, we don't realize that. I mean, that's why I say that more and more indigenous languages talk about what they are going through, the feelings of losing out on their identity, on their language. I mean, there are so many technical. I'll tell you, there's an irrigation method which is only if you know the language, you can know how it is done. There's a very traditional irrigation. I got to know about it on the flight by talking to co-passenger.
I can imagine. So, just the cultural heritage of a certain community that is embedded in the
Yeah.
language. Their songs, their practices, their stories, their
Stories
narratives,
of about
their
trees.
trees. Absolutely. Let's say, man's relationship with nature by itself is documented through their mother
Stories.
tongue. Yes. And all of it is lost.
Language is not only communication. That moment where the grandchild and the grandparents spoke, that is the power of language.
Oh, I want to go and give you a hug right now because I'm feeling all goosebumps all over me. Yes, I can see that. I can see that. And I think when you're
I mean,
passionate about your work and your purpose, you realize how important it is to keep doing what you're doing. So Lopa, this is a question for all storytellers in the country today. The ones who are already telling stories, the ones who tell stories in their mother tongue, who may not be, or the future storytellers who will listen to this conversation years from now when they will begin to tell stories. How should one navigate the whole this let's say the space of being a language based storyteller? What can a storyteller do? Where should she or he begin, and what should the steps that they should be taking?
see, even I even started telling stories in Odia. For me, initially, it was very difficult because staying in Mumbai, not speaking I mean, at home, of course, I speak in Odia, but you don't speak with people in the language, right? And as you mentioned, did not read stories because I was reading more of English stories because that was Patha, literature, Odia literature I'd never read, never knew about authors, itna pata nahi tha. So first when I got an opportunity to tell, I mean when that platform I started, I said, with what story should I share? First thing. And I have to share an Odia story. What story? So initially I thought I'll translate an English story into an Odia story and I will tell. This is what was because that was a safer way to get into it.
You know the story at least.
You know the story. Yeah. But my point of contact at that point of time was my dad. So I, so this is what happens. And to just think that if my dad was not aware of the language, I wouldn't have dared to tell a story. So अब मैं किसके पास जाती हूँ और किसी के पास ऐसा, that's what I'm saying. So yeah, so that is when I started. So the first thing is your, even if you're not confident with the language, start, because the first thing is start telling. The more you start, I mean, naturally you start, if you start telling, then only you'll start preparing for it. And there are various ways to prepare for it depending upon what is your weakness. So is language your weakness, or you have the language, you know your language is strong in your language, your content is your weakness, right? You don't have that content, or is it that your way of, I mean, the way you tell the
Narrating.
story, yeah, storytelling is what is an issue. So depending upon identifying your weakness, of course, you go ahead and strengthen that. And if language is an issue, then of course listening to more and more stories is only going to help that. Listening, telling, practicing. And you know very well how practicing is such an important thing in the storytelling journey. Practicing, getting feedback, and going ahead and telling the story in front of an audience. Reading, listening, telling, and of course, talking about feeling proud of your mother language and talking about your language wherever you are. That is what I would say. And of course, I would say very important thing is I think which has already started in a storytelling community. More and more festivals where storytelling in different Indian languages, which has started, which is so beautiful. It is giving a platform for many tellers to share stories in the languages as well as discover stories,
Yes. Yes.
creating platforms for tellers to tell stories in their mother language, and as well as children tell stories in the mother language, so that parents say, मेरा बच्चा बोल रहा है स्टोरी, एक प्लेटफॉर्म मिल रहा है, उसी से शुरू होता है. See,
Right.
first thing, you need to understand the audience. Parents want the children to stand over there and tell a story. And if the child gets appreciated by telling a story in their mother language, that is how the first seed you plant. Then
Yes.
it starts, next journey
It becomes
starts.
aspirational for the child as well. I mean, whose aspirations are we trying to sort of work towards? I mean, if there are parents who want their children to speak their mother language because it makes them feel proud that I've taught my child everything that I had to speak
Of
about my
course.
culture.
And that the parent need to understand that, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, my child is feeling proud of the child's telling a story
Yes.
or knows the mother language.
Right. Right.
Which
But there's
is
a lot of work. But it's a lot of
a lot
work.
of work,
Lot of
work,
work.
but हो
Yes.
सकता है. See,
Yes,
what
it
I
can.
tell, frequently the thing happens and getting celebrated for what. There are, so करो उसके बाद ये करो तभी, and regularly the thing happens.
Right. But when you are young, I mean, to maybe to parents and maybe educators and everyone, this is, we all understand that when you are young, when you're growing up, your identity is who you are, but not, they don't, your roots are not very strong as far as your consciousness of where you come from and your cultural heritage. It
Correct.
doesn't get ingrained in your psyche as early. So when I am a Bengali who was born in West Bengal, raised in Bihar. By the time I left Bihar, it became Jharkhand. Then I have lived for 25 years in Delhi NCR. So when somebody asks me, where are you from? I have a very, let's say, cultural identity to tell people. So because I'm very drawn to the folk stories of Santals,
Correct.
I'm very drawn towards, let's say, the stories from Bengal. I am drawn to stories which can be told in Hindi, which will do justice only when I tell it them Hindi. So there are so many of these identities. When I was small, I would talk to my friends on the phone, and my mother, she would come and she would say, "Why are you talking? Who are you talking to?" And I'll say, "I'm talking to Antara," and she says, "You're talking to Antara, but she's a Bengali. Speak to her in Bangla." I'm like, why? Like, why do I have to speak to my Bengali friend in Bangla? Not anyone. I mean, like, why can't I just speak to a common language, which is Hindi or maybe English? But years later on, when Antara and I lived together in a PG, we spoke in Bangla because that was our code language, and that became very easy for us. And even now, we that's the language that we choose to perhaps go back because it gives us comfort. But obviously, we've grown from that teenager to be in our early 40s, and we are raising children in a big city, and there's certain pride when the child is telling let's say a Bengali poem or singing a song in the mother tongue, and you realize that your whole cultural identity has sort of come back as a parent, but the child is still a child, they don't understand. So those roots will only I mean, it's like a plant, you'll have to sow them, and they will go deeper and they will strengthen you only when the time is right. But I
Exactly.
think we need to do all of it together. It takes a long time.
Explaining children this is your culture, heritage, all those things, आपको उनको mother language आना, that's the first
Yeah.
basic thing.
Yeah.
Celebrating festivals, knowing about all those things, so that's true stories can happen. That's where storytelling plays a wonderful role over there. You don't have to preach to them that this is your
Yeah.
culture, this is your heritage, this is your tradition, you have to do this. It happens organically. I mean,
Yes.
as you said, when they grow up, they understand why why my parents forced those
Right. And
things on.
there has to be the sense of ownership and pride from the parents and the
Ex-
community
That
as
is
well,
where
which is
parents become very
right.
important.
Very important.
For your language to go to the next generation so that they speak or they know or understand the culture, heritage, traditions, whatever we are talking of, which is associated with that. It's entirely a job of a parent. And a parent to understand what is the importance, that is where the discussions can help. As I said, that's many places which has helped by the discussions as we talked about. Right? So, hey, slowly, I think so. People are understanding how important roots are, and parents do feel proud when these children, speak in English. So
Let's not
that's
take it
okay.
away. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
understand.
hey, that is fine.
Yeah.
And the moment I say नहीं नहीं आपका बच्चा इंग्लिश नहीं बात करेगा only mother tongue बात करेगा then I'm creating a block of them नहीं काम करता because it's completely a space for he's learning not only English he's learning Mandarin Spanish French सब
Yeah.
language and that is welcome as well but आप हिंदी जानते हो आपका मदर लैंग्वेज हिंदी है आप जानते हो नहीं because that also one incident happened I'll tell you there was this student who had gone for their undergrads a parent contacted me and said that my children have started, so both of their children had gone to US for their undergrad, and they had this where they were discussing something about mother language. So there was this fellow from China, from some place, Beijing or someone, and someone from Australia. So like that, they had friends together, and some discussion they had regarding mother language. And the entire group, everyone knew, only these two Indian kids, they didn't know how to speak their mother language. So that they really felt quite, and
Mm,
I'm talking about an undergrad student. Okay.
mm.
So that is when they blamed their parents. They came back home and they blamed their parents for it. And the parent contacted us, and that's how they learned Telugu from us. So just think that we are not realizing this is what I tell parents also how important it is to know about it's not only the language as I said is communication it's your identity over there it was not that he could not speak that was not an embarrassing thing it was a complete attack on their identity over there
Are you even Indian? That if you don't know your mother tongue, I mean, who are you?
ऐसे बात
Yeah.
हुआ
How? Yeah. Right.
you don't know your mother language ऐसे कुछ that was the discussion and
Yeah.
everyone was aware so just think about that child who's में कहाँ किसका blame है whom are we going to blame it's the parents right
Oh, wow. There's
so
so much of work to be done. And Lupa, I'm so happy that you're doing it. The fact that you're doing it through stories, because of course, stories are powerful. Stories, like you said, that they not just teach you the word, but the way the word has to be
yes
said, because
yeah
that's where the soul of that language rests. And in preserving, let's say, the forgotten languages or the dying languages, you're sort of not just doing a service to the language, but also to this entire rich oral history of our country, which would be lost if it is not there. I'm looking forward to what you're going to do with Cheers to Bhasha. I'm going to be watching very closely, and I'm sure our listeners would. Is there anything that you would like to tell our listeners as far as languages are
I
concerned?
will only say one thing feel proud about your language your mother language and speak more and more because if you speak your language then your language will never die that is the speak your language and tell stories to your children in your mother language so that they experience that wonderful space of happiness and create a happy memory in their childhood so that when they grow up and they look back and they realize that yes my parents did a good job.
What a lovely thought to go with. And also maybe speak to your parents in their language, because they also, wherever they are in their life's journey, they would want their life story to be captured as well. And maybe they will do it better in their mother language than in any other language.
Of
So, for
course.
those of you who want to go and connect with parents and want to gather their life stories, if you want some help, reach out to me. I will have something very special for you. You can write to me at podcast at yourstorybag.com. That's podcast at yourstorybag.com. If you want to document your family's stories in the mother language that your parents speak in, if you want some help, reach out to me. I will have a special
Sure.
giveaway for you.
Wonderful.
So, and maybe I can share it with you, Lopa. I'll share what it is. I lost my father earlier this year. He was
I
a
know I have read
fantastic
about
storyteller, and the gift of stories, or the celebration of stories, is what I've got from him. And I had the privilege of he raised me on a steady diet of stories of life, his life, culture, history, sports, India. Everything was a story for him. He would tell me so many things. And of course, in Bangla, in English, everything. And I had the privilege of recording some of his stories in his voice when he was much healthier. And after he passed, and I heard those audio clippings with everybody, and again, mix of English and Bangla, everybody in my house was very surprised that he sounded so healthy because nobody remembered his healthy voice. And I remembered that that itself was so special, to preserve somebody's
I can
story,
understand.
the way they tell it. So I, in the process of sort of dealing with my father's loss, I chose to write a book called Story Heirlooms, which is about how to gather family stories. And now listening to you in, talking about languages and talking about grandparents, grandchildren, and the role that, let's say, the intermediary, the generation that is us, who's
Correct.
still there, and we are acting as a bridge between our parents and our children and the future generation. We can preserve the oral histories of our family stories, as well as celebrate the language or the lives lived by our parents, by just documenting their stories in their voice, in their language of choice, because that's where they will be able to express more, they'll be able to share more, they'll be able to reminisce more. Imagine if you want to do it in another language, maybe in English or something else, because the questions could be written in English, but we could translate it. But you can think of it, if they have trouble understanding it, they'll not be able to share their story as well,
Correct.
right? So they have, some people are more articulate in a certain language than the other. So a lot of us can do something to preserve languages even in our homes. So I think it's a good way to do that. And those are stories that will live. So even after your parents are gone, they will live for your children and their children, and so on and so forth. So that's a lot of work. So yeah, so I've let it all out. If anybody wants to do that, I'm happy to help. And for languages, you have Lopa. If you're stuck with a language, if you want to learn a language or reconnect with your mother tongue, you must reach out to Cheers to Bhasha, because
Cheers to
that
Bhasha.
Cheers to Bhasha. There's a lot of interesting work that's happening, and I'm so grateful that Lopa, you are doing this for us.
Thank you,
Thank you
thank you
so
as well.
much.
And wish you all the best, Ritu. You're doing lovely work as well. Always
Thank you.
follow your book over LinkedIn, do your posts. Yeah. So wish you all the best.
Thank you. We should collaborate on this family storytelling. If you'd like to collaborate, I'll be very happy to
Sure,
collaborate
sure.
with
We
you.
can look into it.
Yeah. All
Okay.
right. Thank you so much for speaking to me. It was lovely.
Same here, same here. Thank you.
Hi, this is Rituparna. Thank you for listening to the Storied Way Perspective. This is a bi monthly podcast where you will meet storytellers, influencers, entrepreneurs, coaches, thought leaders, and experts as I ask them, what can stories do in the world today? You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, and everywhere else. Look out for the Storied Way Perspective with Rituparna. No matter where you listen to us, please rate, review, and share the podcast. This helps me know you are listening. You can also write to me at podcast@yourstorybag.com. I will wait to hear from you.